sixth one we are going to discuss here is potassium. So this potassium will act as a cofactor for 40 enzymes. So imagine then how much the potassium is required for the plant. So it acts as a cofactor for 40 enzyme. Not only that, the potassium will act as a uh, carrier for translocation of food. You know that without translocation of food, photosynthesis, respiration and protein synthesis cannot be happen. So for that potassium is required. So the two functions of the potassium is, one is cofactor for the 40 enzyme, the second one is translocation of food. If the potassium is not supplied properly to the plant, that will inhibit the protein synthesis, and next is the loss of cambial activity. So there won't be xylem phloem activity will not be seen, and third one is rosette. So rosette formation will be there if the deficiency of potassium persists. The seventh uh, macro elements which required is iron. Iron in short form you can write it as Fe. So ionic form iron, it helps in energy generation. It helps in energy generation. Not only it has a function of development of chloroplast and chlorophyll. So for chloroplast and chlorophyll functioning, iron is necessary. If iron is not supplied properly for the plant, that will lead to the necrosis. Necrosis is there won't be any activity of that particular area will not be happening. That we called it as necrosis. Second one is, if the chloroplast is not synthesized properly, then it will lead to the inhibition of chloroplast. So if chloroplast is not inhibited, the growth will be reduced. So this is the seventh macro element which is required. The eighth one is manganese. The eighth one is the essential element is manganese, that takes part in the photolysis of water. When we say photolysis of water, it means it will be happening only in the photosynthetic plants. So it will be happening only in the photosynthetic plants. Manganese is also responsible for the carboxylase and dehydrogenase enzymes formation. Carboxylase and dehydrogenase enzyme formation, manganese is required. If the manganese is not given to the sufficient amount, it will cause a gray specks in oats, speckled yellow in beets, marsh spot of peas in pea plant. All this will be the deficiencies. And the ninth essential element is molybdenum. Molybdenum is responsible for the nitrogen metabolism. So when I say nitrogen metabolism, it means molybdenum is an essential component for the nitrogen fixation plants. So it acts as a constituent of nitrate reductase. It acts on the constituent of nitrate reductase. If it is not supplied properly, that leads to the yellow spot of citrus. And second one is whiptail disease in cauliflower. And both these are very, very, very important point of view when we talk about the NEET questions. Okay, the 10th essential component is boron. So boron is responsible for the sugar metabolism. Not only the sugar metabolism, for the nodulation of legume plants, boron is required. The third function is synthesis of pectins. So synthesis of pectin is also for boron is required. The diseases which is associated if it is not supplied properly, first one is corky core in apples, water core in turnip, top sickness of tobacco plants. So all this will be associated with the boron. The 11th essential element is zinc. So zinc is constituent of carbonic anhydrase, and it involves in the RNA and protein synthesis. It involves in the RNA and protein synthesis. If this is not supplied properly, that will lead to the little leaf in apple plant, white bud in the maize plant. The 12th essential component is copper. Copper will be aids in chlorophyll synthesis. So for the chlorophyll synthesis, copper is important. If copper is not supplied properly for the plant, that will lead to the exanthema. That means the bark of the fruit trees will be split. The bark of the fruit trees will be split. So this is a deficiency which is associated with copper. The third essential component is chlorine. So chlorine, again, it is associated with the photolysis of water, as I've told you in the manganese. So it is also required for the photosynthetic plants, very, very important. Next one is solute concentration. So to concentrate the solute, chlorine is required. If it is not supplied properly, that will lead to the bronze colored leaves. The second one is the complication is the wilting. So bronze colored leaves and wilting is the two complications which is associated with. See, as you all know that anything which is exceed amount will leads to the toxicity. The same is applied in the inorganic nutrients. If inorganic nutrients is supplied in the required amount, it is a nutrient. If it does not supplied in a required amount, if it is supplied in an excess amount, that will lead to the toxicity. So when I say toxicity, it does not mean that the same amount of toxin will be for all the plants. For one plant, the unit will be vary. For the other plant, the unit will be vary. Okay, say for example, in the manganese, okay, 600 milligram per grams is more than 600 milligram per gram in soya bean plant is toxin, whereas same manganese, if it exceeds 5300 milligram per gram in sunflower plant, is toxicity. So if you see that the component is same, but the amount is vary. So the toxicity completely determines, the toxicity completely based on the type of plant it carries. So in soya bean, it is 600 milligram, whereas in sunflower, it is more than 5300 milligram is toxin amount. So don't fix your mind for the toxin amount, the same quantity. The quantity will be vary for the plants to plant species. Okay, so this is about the essential element. Next, we move on to absorption of mineral element. How does this mineral element will be absorbed? As I've already told you in the initial part of the class, the elements will be, nutrient elements will be absorbed in the form of ionic forms. So it will be absorbed in the ionic forms. So when this ionic forms kind of nutrient is absorbed, so the movement of ions, we called it as flux. The movement of ions, we called it as flux. If the ion moves inward movement, we called it as influx. If the ions moves outward movement, we called it as efflux. Okay, so this is about the movement of ions. Now we'll see absorption. As you know that absorption, from the beginning I keep on saying that if you take any absorption, either it will be in the passive absorption or in the active absorption. Here the same is applicable, passive absorption and active absorption, and you also aware of that passive absorption does not require any energy, whereas active absorption requires energy. And if you talk about the passive absorption in the mineral elements, it has two types. One is mass flow type and second one is ion exchange type. In mass flow type, transpiration, via the transpiration of leaves, okay, the passive absorption will be happening, whereas in ion exchange, the exchange of ions, that is cations and anions, will be exchanging among itself and causing the absorption. Okay, so this is about the passive absorption. Next, we move on to active absorption. If you know that active absorption requires energy, so it has further divided into three types, that is carrier active absorption, cytochrome active absorption, protein lecithin active absorption. So first one is carrier. So the term carrier says that it has to bind with the ions. So in this, micronutrients absorb when the ions is bind along with that water. So that is how the active absorption will be happening in the carrier absorption. And cytochrome cytochrome will be present on the membrane. So when this cytochrome is present on the membrane, it acts as a pump to carry the absorption of the micro element. And third one is protein lecithin. So protein lecithin, it is carrier protein is associated with lecithin. So when the carrier protein is associated with lecithin, it will absorb the mineral nutrients. So once again, I just want to give a summarization of this absorption of mineral nutrients. So mineral nutrients will be absorbed in the form of ionic form. The movement of ions is called flux. If the movement of ions inside, it is called influx. If it is movement of ions outside, we called it as efflux. And if you take the absorption of mineral elements, it has two types, passive and active. Passive does not require energy, whereas active require energy. When you talk about the passive type, it has further divided into two types. One is the ion mass flow, and the second one is the ion exchange. In mass flow, the transpiration of the leaves will be plays an important role in the absorption of the iron, nutrients, and in the ion exchange, where the cations and anions will be plays a role in it. So when I say mass flow transpiration, it absorb in the form of apoplast pathway, okay, whereas in active it is symblast pathway, okay. So next is active. It has three types: carrier, cytochrome, and protein lecithin. Carrier require a binding of ions. Cytochrome, which is present in the membrane, with which acts as a pump and push out the absorption of mineral iodide. Third one is lecithin protein. Lecithin carrier protein lecithin will be associated, so to take out the absorption of mineral element. So when we talk about the essential element and when we talk about the absorption, this is about the thing which we have discussing about it. Next we move on to nitrogen fixation.